Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be answering all of your questions as we continue the celebration of 10,000 subscribers. There are 54 of them, I think, so we'll go through them one by one. We don't have a moment to waste, let's do it. My hardest game to review was certainly Collingwood Round 23, 2022. Most enjoyable game review. This question is going to come up a lot. Sydney, round 10, 2022. That was awesome. I remember sitting down. I couldn't wait to wake up the night before and do the review. Yeah, there have been times where I thought I might give up. There have been times where I've questioned, why am I doing this? There have been times where I've really delved deep into why I do it. And I think this is a good lesson in when you choose something based on what's really inside you and what you're really obsessed with and passionate about. If that why is strong enough, it gets you through those times. And this is certainly one of those things. So yeah, sometimes where I want to give up, but I'll die before this fails. So there's that attitude towards this as well. Thank you, mate. How do I feel my content has evolved? Well, firstly, it's not just about me. It's about us. There are various voices. I think for myself, I've learned, I've grown up, been doing it every week for 5 years. So I've learned how to speak a bit better. I think I had some pretty good skills coming into the game, but at the start it was just very emotional and sometimes probably a little too over the top. Whereas now I'd like to think I've added a layer of balance and a little bit more measured. Sometimes that can get out of hand or sometimes it's not as measured, but I think that's where I've evolved a bit. And I think the more I grow up, the more I empathize with the players. I think I've learned more about them. I've met more of them, so I've learned more about them as human beings. And I think it's important to be mindful of that whenever you talk about them. Would I look to hiring more help with the channel? How can I get involved? Yeah, there will be opportunities coming up over the next 12 months for sure. Everything is voluntary at this point. There's an entry level to this. Stay tuned. I'll have more on this soon. No, I guess it might, but don't worry. Just skip the ads. Doesn't matter. The revenue is the revenue. It'll come as it comes. The main thing is really the content, and the way in which the content remains free is if the subscriber count keeps growing. So there will be no paywalls for this content ever. So there's that. My expectations when I started this channel, really it was just to document the journey until we won the premiership. I thought that, in 5 years' time, we'd have a documentation of the worst being 2018 all the way to the best being the premiership or finals. And, the drought was so big, and obviously now it looks like it's going to be a bit longer. So those were my expectations. It was purely that, didn't care about anything else other than just having a record of how I was thinking and feeling and being able to share that with my family later on in life. Favorite moment as a Carlton fan? Judd's goal in 2013 in the elimination final was right up there. Greatest moment, yeah, the Judd goal, the 2011 Essendon final as well. That was pretty cool. Biggest inspirers, Robbie Lyle, the guy that founded AFTV, big inspiration. Gary Vee, Dave Portnoy, these types. Now, I'm not trying to copy exactly how they go about it. There are some things that don't resonate with me, but those were the three I think that really inspired me and made me realize, oh wow, look at what you can do talking about what you love. Not that it's easy, but it was done. Has the journey gone quick, and what would I change? I guess so. I guess it has, but also it's been a grind, no doubt about it. There are moments where it feels quick. I think now when I reflect on the fact that, 5 years of content, it feels quick, but also the pain of each week, each month, each year. So what would I have changed? I probably would have gone to YouTube from the outset. That's something I would tell my earlier self. Stick with him. Stick with Voss. Build the right team around him. Let him lead a team of coaches. That's my best guess, but I don't know. I really don't know. How do I cope with the pain? The channel. This is genuinely how I cope with the pain. I know it's therapeutic for a lot of you that watch. It's just as therapeutic for me as well. So this is really how I cope with it. I think whenever you're in times of distress, to know you can go somewhere where other people are feeling what you're feeling and they can validate your emotions and allow you to process that, I think that's important. So that's what this unfortunately seems to have become. Who would I like to meet that I haven't? I've met all of them. I've met all the ones that I want to meet. Put it that way. Yeah. My biggest motivation for the channel is, on a personal level, it's doing something for the rest of my life that I love and really care about. And I guess when it comes to the other side of things, it's to build a fan engagement platform for the future of the club, given the digitization of the fan. And I think we can bridge that gap between club and fan with a channel. Favorite moment and least favorite moment watching Carlton. Least favorite, there's too many. GWS 2018, Collingwood losses. A lot of 2023 have been my least favorite moments. I think because when the expectation builds, the disappointment also grows. So, those losses, the Adelaide loss in 2020, when we chaired off Bryce Gibbs, that just that game and everything that stood for, that was one of my least favorite moments. Down by 70 to Fremantle at halftime, I think that was 2018 as well. The sacking of the coaches, the turmoil, all of that. Least favorite. Most favorite, 2022, the first 10 rounds, Sydney game, the fan cams after that. Fuck, that was everything. That was everything. I walk out in there and I do one of two things. I either just fall on the floor and lie down for a bit, or I just fall on my bed and pass out within 3 seconds. So, yeah. What are some things I wish I did earlier? Some things I've learned. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned that the way I dealt with my emotions needed to improve. I learned that YouTube is very powerful, and I guess I kind of wish I started on YouTube from the outset. I just didn't know what was out there. I wish I knew the solution to the problem at the club, and I wish I knew how to be a better help to the club. But yeah, a lot of it's personal. A lot of it's, when you put yourself out there like this and people watch you grow up every week, yeah, there's something in that. Self-reflection's crucial. I learned how to do that. I also learned, I think I mentioned this earlier, the players and the fact that, yeah, they're paid well, but they're still human beings that have the same mental issues that we all have and all face, and the challenges. And so if anything, the pressure on them is just magnified. I think I learned more about the human side. I think I learned about the fan base, the good part and the bad part, which probably reflects, as a microcosm of society in the world, and what can happen when it gets ugly, what can happen when it looks good. And I think I've slowly starting to learn what needs to happen to have a better level-headedness and a better, equilibrium, as Bolts used to say. Similar question. I think, similar question, similar answer. Big plans for the future. 10K is just the tip of the iceberg. 10K is absolutely just the tip of the iceberg. I feel like things start now, to be honest with you. I feel like things start now. Really solid subscriber base, but it's just a number. The hunger has grown. If anything, I'm ready to go even more all in than ever before and devote more of my time to it. I'm in a position now where I can no longer work full time while doing this because the channel needs more of me, which I think is great. I think that's put a fire inside of me, and that fear of the unknown, or that fear of what's to come, that drives me and that excites me a lot. My most memorable moment, there's a couple. I mentioned the Judd goal. the 2011 final. I think coming home to Australia, going to that first game, round 12, 2019, Tigi's first game, Cripps' dominant game against the Lions. They're memorable. In recent times, round 1, beating the Tigers finally. Some of those moments there. What changes have I realized from the channel and the club? Great question. From the club, I think we have better people. I think the players are better people. Not to say that the previous players were not good people, but I really like the character of some of the players that we have right now. I think I don't really have to worry too much about off-field indiscretions with this group. I think they're pretty respectful. I think with the club, I think there's a piece around there that we don't change very well as a club, and we probably haven't really embraced the modern era of football. This is a club that was built off being, strongly backed financially, and in those times you were able to do whatever you want if you had a strong financial position. Whereas now we're finding out the hard way that it's the long game that's going to get you to the top for sustained success. So I've learned that the club have failed along the way a lot, and I've learned in a disappointing way that a lot of people who were leaders at the club probably still haven't put their hand up to say that they were responsible and accountable for the shortcomings of the club. From the channel, from my lens, honestly, from the beginning, and if you just go to the beginning of, let's say, when FanCam started to now, I really do believe the way in which we speak about the club here on the channel, especially when we're at our most emotive, has improved. The emotion's going to be there. It's always going to be there. And I think the way in which we've added a layer of intelligence, added a layer of intellect, added a layer of class, I think it's really starting to improve, and it's going to continue to improve. And so, I've learnt people's motivations. I've learnt the impact that I think I've learnt the impact of what giving someone belief in themselves can do, and giving someone an opportunity can do. And so that's pretty special. How do I deal with other teams' fans saying bad things about the Blues? Mate, fuck them. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. We also have to accept a reality. We stink it up as a team. We do. But I don't worry about it too much. Thick-skinned. I grew up on the internet, so that's fine. Top moments. Yeah, I mentioned them earlier. Some of those finals, 2022. Will we ever be good? I hope so. Surely, right? Like honestly, surely we're going to be good eventually. And this will all be an incredible place to be, to document that rise. That's really what lights me up at the moment. To go back to the previous question about my motivation. Should our preseason start now for 2024? I guess so. If this season's over, we need to look ahead, and we need to find out, okay, in the next 10 weeks, when things have turned quote unquote to shit, who's going to stand up when they've got nothing to play for? Who's playing with pride? I think we're going to be able to identify those people and those players in the next half or just under a half of the season. What year will we win our next flag? I don't know. I thought it was going to be this year. As in, if you had asked me 5 years ago, I would have told you 2023, maybe 2024, but obviously it's not to be. Does this playing group have a future? Yeah. Playing group has a future. Changes will probably come, and they happen at every club. Players come, players go. I sense we may have more people leave at the end of this year if things continue to go down this path than what we have had in the past. But I think it does have a future. It does. What have I learned as an influential supporter? That the greater the platform grows and the greater your view counts grow and all of these vanity metrics, the more responsibility you have. And also, this is this is a dangerous space to be in, because we live in a society that's insecure. And when you get validated with vanity metrics like views and likes and all of these sorts of things, that can be a dangerous place to rely on. So I don't rely on that for my happiness and my pride in myself. I've done things prior to this that, I've been raised in a way that I draw that in a different way. It's internal. I'm internally motivated with myself. I'm not so much motivated by the numbers. Like, obviously we're celebrating a 10K milestone, and that's awesome, but it doesn't make me feel any greater than what I did from the very beginning. So yeah. Do I feel a heavy responsibility or heavy weight of responsibility leading BA? Yep. No, take it on board. It is a responsibility. It's a privilege. It's not a right. And it requires leadership. And so that's where I'm constantly, failing to succeed, if that makes sense. Constantly figuring out ways to be better. And I'm not the finished product. I never will be. You strive for perfection and you settle for excellence. So yeah, but I do feel that weight of responsibility, and I take it on board, and I love it. Regrets. Well, it's easy to regret things now, for sure. Things I would have done differently. Yeah, there are some moments in videos that I would have done differently. I just wasn't aware at the time of the gravity of what I was doing. I mentioned earlier, starting on YouTube from the outset, potentially. But, how can you have regrets when you didn't? I mean, every moment is basically you doing what you did with the information, the best information that you had at the time. So yeah, there are things that I would like to take back, but there are things I've apologized for. There are things that, I would say there's a lot more good than bad that's happened. Yeah. And so the, little mistakes have been made along the way, but I don't think they've ultimately hurt the outcome of this channel and what it's provided. So yeah, but starting on YouTube is a big one. Yeah, YouTube changed my life, man. What impact can we have as fans? That's a good question, because at the moment we have seen the best, we have seen the worst. We've seen the beautiful side of the passionate fan base and the ugly side of the passion of the fan base. So I think we can have a pretty big impact. We can, grow the membership base to 100,000 people, create an atmosphere like no other. We can also turn on our players and see some of the scenes that we've seen lately. So that's something we've got to be very mindful of. Do I think there's a psychological factor that affects the boys? Yep. Do I think the solution is keeping Voss and replacing the assistant coaches? I'm mindful that this video is going to have an expiry date in 10 years. But at this point in time, I think it is to back Voss and build the team around him and find the people that are not contributing to success. We'll see what this means in maybe even 6 months. Has this now become a habit that you can't shake? Thank God for BA. Thank you. It's more than a habit. This is a life. This is the life I chose. A lot of careful thinking and planning went into this. What am I going to do with my life? What am I going to build? And this is it. So this is my life's work. How do I fit in practicing law? Well, I don't practice full-time anymore, clearly. Just freelance at the moment. So if you need wills or things like that done, gotcha. When will we make finals? Let's become a good team first. I don't know when, but we need to become a good team consistently first. Favorite win by the boys. Round 10, 2022. The win early in the season against Geelong, season 2020. Round 12, 2019. The St Kilda win late in 2019 as well. That was a very special day. There's not many, is there? Thank you for asking. I'm feeling stressed, but I know that this is just part of the test of life. And so, yeah, otherwise I'm grateful to feel the challenge. So yeah, thanks for asking. Do I come across moments where you just don't want to turn the camera on? Yes. I'll never forget walking home from round 23, 2022 and thinking, oh my God, I don't want to do the fan cams. It's too much. It's going to be too much. People are going to fight in the chat. Collingwood supporters will bait everyone. Like it was, yeah, that was probably the one time where I felt it deeply. But it's a discipline now almost. It doesn't matter. Like I made a commitment. As soon as I film the first video from round 1, that means I'm committing to the season. So yeah, apart from if I'm super sick to the point where I just can't do it. But yeah, there are certainly those moments. I'll say briefs, but you never know. Biggest what if player you've seen at Carlton? Oh man, there are so many. I'm going to say Matthew Cruiser. What if he never got injured? Yeah, I'm going to say Cruz. What's the biggest impact or lesson BA has had on your life and way of thinking? Well, it has validated the idea to me that you can build anything you want and you can do anything you want if you're willing to really commit. And I mean, like, commit with absolutely everything you have and be willing to forego lifestyle, be willing to sacrifice, financial gain in the, to take a little less, but do something that you love. So yeah, it's definitely, and I'm grateful that it worked, because what if it didn't? The thing for me is there never was a situation where this wasn't going to work. I didn't allow myself to think that way. It was, no, this works or I die. It sounds really dramatic, but yeah, that's just how I'm wired. It's a bit of an inspiration from Kobe, but that's the mindset. So yeah, definitely validated that you can do anything you want to do. I know that sounds cliche, but it's the truth. How do I dedicate so much time for this? It's so therapeutic. Thank you very much. Man, when you're obsessed and you're willing to do anything it takes, you make it work. What does the BA community have on how I see football now? Changes. Great question. Well, I think we need to realize, and again, it's hard because I don't want to tell people what to do, what to think, but in my opinion, we need to evolve as fans as well. And as frustrated as we get, me included, there's a line that can be crossed that can actually add to the damage psychologically to the players. And it's difficult because, we demand success. We want more. We haven't seen success for so many years. We've got generations of supporters who have been born into this, and it's frustrating. So for me, I would hope the community, we help move us into the new age of supporter that has a little bit more intellect, a little bit more thoughtfulness and empathy for what is happening at the club. Now, that doesn't mean back off and don't, keep encouraging the standards to improve. But yeah, I think also, media is about to get a shake-up. Mainstream media is getting a shake-up. People are starting to tune out of mainstream and tune into fan-made content. So I think this will be an interesting question in 10 years' time. I think I know what happens, but we'll see. Would I be interested in being part of a season-long documentary inside the club? Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool to have like that fan representation there. That'd be awesome. What's my ultimate goal for the channel? Where do you think it could go? So this is an interesting question because there's some of this that I don't know. I don't think I need to put on camera. Something, for me, it's about enjoying the process. Like, I have big goals. Like, yeah, let's get to 100,000 subscribers, for example. But that's not what motivates me. What motivates me is living a life doing what I love the most, and that is watching Carlton play and talking about Carlton. That's it. I broke it down like that. So I will enjoy the moment. I will enjoy the process and sort of allow everything else to come from that. Now, where does it lead? Well, who knows? Who knows? But I'm going to enjoy myself along the journey, even though this year hasn't been very enjoyable. Still, it has been to an extent because I've been able to share it and we've been able to all come together with it. So, yeah. What's one game I find myself rewatching? It's a great question. Sydney 2022. Such a good night. The 2013 final, I've watched that a lot. It's about it. I don't rewatch too many games these days. Favorite game we've ever documented. Brisbane, 2019. Round 12, I think it was. Sydney last year. Richmond, round 1. Yeah. Thank you very much. Jim, you're a star. Best and worst feeling. The best feeling, I mean, when it comes to watching the team, there's those wins that I've mentioned. But the best feeling is when like you get a message and someone's like, oh man, I wasn't going to go this week, but like I watched your video and like I have to be there. Like that is the best feeling, to know that I might have played a small part in someone's thinking to get to a game, for example, only for them to be let down, disappointed, and a loss, and it compound the pain. And then also watching the growth, like selfishly, I love to see the growth of, Pommy, Rocco, Paul, or everyone, Kira, the young ones, Ari, Nathan, Jasmina, Tori, like all the next generation. Like I get a really selfishly good feeling from seeing that and helping people with their confidence to do certain things. The worst feeling is when things get toxic with the fan base and feeling that I'm responsible because of, the emotion that comes with being a Carlton fan. So yeah, it's a great dichotomy. Biggest joy from BA, I think I just mentioned it. Seeing everyone come together, seeing the growth of the other people. Biggest disappointment. Well, after doing it for so long and 5 years later, they're still in the bottom 4. That's the biggest disappointment. So hardest video. Well, like I mentioned earlier, the fan cams. I think there was also a loss against GWS 2021. Oh, I didn't mention that earlier. That was terrible. That was a hard video to put out. I think losing to the Eagles the week before that was a tough one. Yeah. Favorite fan cam session. That was 100% the best fan cam session. We were so happy. We were so happy. I don't know if we got ahead of ourselves. Maybe we did, but we were so happy that day and that night. And that's it. Thank you very much for your questions. Thank you very much for being a part of it. We have a game this week. We've got to get to it. We will have a compilation that was made by Bailey Painter coming out shortly. So stay tuned for that. And let's go. Let's get to 20,000 subscribers. Hit that button. See you soon.